This is the last interview of the day at Warlord Games Open Day, and we're lucky to have Marcus Vine with us.
Hello.
I'm enormously excited about the new bolt action and pleased about the changes. And you've been involved with play testing and suggesting rules and at the development from the very start of this and keeping it all secret. And I was just thinking, first thing of all, what change do you think is the most important so far?
So really, it's a question with two answers. So the first one is, what's the most significant change to the mechanics of the game itself? Obviously, that's cover saves. That's the removal of most of the to-hit modifiers and the implementation of cover saves, because that's a really quite big change to a core mechanic, even if the numbers don't actually change that much, but it does change how the game plays. So that's the one answer. The other answer is the new platoon selectors, because that is very much, it changes the models you're bringing to the tabletop, because you can bring more of everything. So those are the two really big changes from sort of two different viewpoints.
I've got to admit, personally, I'm quite excited about particularly that new structure, because it allows us quite a lot more freedom, and but also I'm interested as well with effectiveness of tanks and also machine guns in the game. And I was just wondering if you had any thoughts on those as well, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, obviously you can bring more of everything to start. That's a huge change. There's so much more freedom, and I think we're going to see an enormous amount of very different lists. Whether that's people actually finally being able to make that perfectly historically inspired list they wanted to, or whether that's people, going out and out competitive, because that's the kind of fun they have. That system enables people to have more fun with their collection. In terms of effectiveness of tanks, machine guns, etc., I think it's really interesting, because you can't really look at one thing in isolation and talk about its effectiveness, right? In bolt action, as in real life, everything fits into a wider whole. Everything has its place on the tabletop. Everything has its relative effectiveness, if you want to talk about it like that. And machine guns, for example, really not a lot changed with them at all. They got an extra shot on medium machine guns. That's basically what changed with them, right?
Oh,
but
okay.
What changed around them is really what changes machine guns. Because obviously small teams is gone. Snipers, there's no exceptional damage, so snipers aren't destroying them in one shot anymore. That was really the change that's made machine guns comparably more effective in 3rd edition. So it's things changing around them. Tanks, obviously there was a points readjustment in some cases by LSEO. The biggest one I think for tanks obviously is anti-tank guns now get a +1 to hit against vehicles when stationary. So that means your traditional anti-tank gun tanks have a real dedicated place in the game, which is actually hunting other armour. You're not going to see so many, with the changes to machine guns on vehicles, you're not going to see necessarily every single army having a Stuart covered in machine guns at the competitive level. There's more room now for people to try other vehicles and see what works for them. So that's kind of the biggest change in their effectiveness, is they got better at the job they were supposed to do, and the job that they were doing in 2nd edition that wasn't really a historical role at all, that's taken a bit of a backseat. Now don't get me wrong, a machine gun Stuart, even with half shots, is still a lot of DACA, but it's not the automatic include absolute lawnmower that it was in last edition, and that's for the better.
Definitely, I'm quite glad to hear that, because it did feel quite so overpowered, and realistically, it's not going to be having that effect on the battlefield. Also, are there any other notable changes you think are particularly worth mentioning as well?
Really notable ones, I actually think this is kind of a wait and see for people, but army special rules. Generally, army special rules, I think that's just been a huge swathe of positive changes. I think that's absolutely been a way that the game has been made more fun, and will continue to be made more fun as all the armies of books come out. I think people, obviously the get you buy lists, they've seen some change, some cases quite radical change, but they've not seen all the change. So people looking at their army in 3rd edition right at the start with the get you buy army lists, what you can expect is when the armies of books come out, those special rules will expand.
Fantastic. I've got to admit, I'm particularly looking forward to receiving them, going through them. And yeah, Marcus, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, I've got my new box set and I can't wait to get home and put it together.